What is your go-to music streaming platform? Apple Music, right? Or I guess Spotify? With a combined 853 million listeners globally, these are the best platforms to listen to your favorite songs. Or are they? Introducing. Wait, give me a second. Adoria.
Sure, Spotify and Apple Music have millions of tracks, downloadable music, high quality audio, yada yada yada. But do they have
A music visualizer?
The plan is simple, like my app. There will be a visualizer page with the needed play, stop, and skip buttons. On the start page, you'll be able to upload any track you want. I think my millions of listeners would appreciate the simplicity of this music player, unlike Spotify or Apple Music that have hundreds of distracting texts and buttons. For this project, we'll be using the coding language Python. Not because it's the only coding language I know, but because it adds authenticity. Like our user interface, we need the code to have some simplicity as well. And what's more simple than Python? This applies to the library we're using called tkinter, which is one of the more popular GUI libraries to help us build the interfaces.
So first, I had to actually learn tkinter. I watched tutorials and looked through documentation. It seemed pretty straightforward, so I started playing around with all the various features that it had. I kind of went off track at first, but eventually I logged in and created buttons for the user to import music and select the song they wanted to play. It took me a while to figure out how to move on to the visualizer page. Essentially, each page is a frame, and all you have to do is erase the previous frame after loading in the next one with the forget function. Eventually though, I figured it out. Once I reached the visualizer page, I could add all the functions and buttons. First was a play button, which would play the audio. Pygame had some built-in functions so I could load and play the audio. Then I added the skip, stop, and previous buttons, which I would add function to later. Now that I had all the widgets in place, I needed to add in the main part of this application, the visualizer. It was actually more simple than I thought. Every song or audio file has something called a sample rate, which basically measures how many values of air pressure are recorded per second. If you take these values or samples and put it on a graph, you can visualize air pressure over time. There's a lot of ways to do this, but for simplicity, I decided to map these values out with bars. First, take a chunk of the audio currently playing. This chunk will change depending on where you are within the song. Now, take this chunk and divide it into mini chunks. These will be the number of bars. Each bar will have a different height depending on the average of the amplitude values within each of those bars or segments of audio. Map these coordinates into variables and use tkinter to create these rectangles. And then bam! Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more content like this.
Слова мои памяти тают, но я в моем очи